our last video from this unit, section 9. How do we move or transition to a sustainable energy future? Not an easy question to answer. So, first of all, you have to do change energy policy a little bit. Okay. So we need to improve energy efficiency of different systems. We need to rely more on renewable energies and try to reduce the effects of fossil fuels and nuclear energy. That's what this whole process is about. So how are you going to do that? Well, you have to make a gradual shift. And that shift would come in the form of moving from a large, centralized kind of macro power system to a smaller, decentralized micro power systems. What I mean by that is your house, your local community generates its electricity, not some big, huge power plant far away that distributes the energy. That saves you quite a bit, because up to 90% of electricity can be lost being transmitted from place to place. And so if we can change that, that's the start. This is a bit of a tricky one, but governments could encourage this change. And the way they can encourage, currently the governments do a lot of subsidizing of fossil fuels. So you can use a combination of subsidies in other ways, tax breaks, rebates, taxes, and public education, to promote the type of energy sources you want. We do that now. We just have to shift in the way we do it. So you could keep the prices artificially low for the energy sources you'd want. We do that right now, actually, but we could make that shift. We subsidize, say, the coal industry, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but we might want to switch that and put government subsidies into wind energy for cities, for instance. And you could keep artificially high prices on the energy sources you don't want. Again, this is the government dictating, which might be a bit of an issue for you, but this is one way to encourage it a certain way. And then emphasize consumer education. Let people be informed in their decision-making process. Making that transition involves lots of different things. So improving energy efficiency is one component of that, and there's lots of ways to do that, and I've talked about many of those ways already. You need to use more renewable energies. So improve the efficiencies in what we do, replace some things with more renewable energies, and then work to reduce pollution and other problems along those lines in a way to create that process. And so I think you have to have a tiered attack in trying to make a shift in the energy future. Here is an interesting little piece of information that was taken out of your textbooks. So this is all the different energy sources that we've discussed. And they've basically did two cost analysis for it. How much does it cost to generate the electricity? And you'll see that coal is by far the lowest one on here. Hydropower comes in second, geothermal and hydropower come in second and third, followed by wind up here. But the lowest one we can do right now is coal. But this chart is attempting to show you is that doesn't take into account that environmental piece. It never does. Remember, that's on the pros and cons list of all of these. When you start to look at the environmental costs of things and you start to figure that in, and you see that all of these have an environmental cost. They all affect the environment in some way, some more than others. You see that coal is extremely high. Even though it was low in generating costs, it's high in environmental costs. And so when you combine those two numbers together, based on how they magically did that, you find that wind actually would be the best environmental shift in a cost versus environmental relationship. And then coal works its way up to becoming one of the highest. And so if we take into account both the bottom line economics of it as well as the environmental impacts of it, you could encourage people to shift based on looking at both of those two things together. All right, let's be done with things. That's it for this unit. Moving on.